Hello and welcome to today's video. This time I'll be going through my recent pickups of vintage paperbacks and books from September and early October. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we're starting out with A Bear Called Paddington. I really love these B format Paddington Bear books, and I was very close to getting the whole lot, and I realised I needed just one, and then I found a job lot of 8, and I thought, well, I'm going to keep the other ones, the spares, as readers. So these are probably low grade. They're not even first printings, these are reprints. However, I don't mind because I'm looking to get a set to actually read. The one I was short of, the last one I needed in puffin form, was this one here. It's a Paddington at Work. It's Puffin Storybook 399. So this was the last one I needed, and this was in the lot. This is what I bought the lot for. It's about £8 for all the books, so worked out about £1 each. And this one was a first printing. And I think what happens then, the books went. The books were published by Armada, so they moved publisher. So Puffin actually didn't do the whole lot of Paddington in Puffin Storybook Edition, which is a shame. But I really like these ones. These are the ones I can remember sort of reading as a kid and having read to me as a kid, and I just love them. I'm also quite pleased to get a few doubles because Puffin did 2 Paddington Bear box sets in the late 1960s, and I have been trying to pick up a few box sets lately, and I don't have either of the Paddington ones, so I'm going to keep I'm going to keep all these spares in my possession as reading copies and/or ones that I might want to put into the box set, because the box sets are going to be reprints anyway, generally speaking. Not always, but in most cases they're reprints, so it won't matter too much about having first editions in there. The only first edition I was short of was Paddington at Work, and I've now got that one. So really pleased to get all the Paddington books. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so these ones here, this is obviously an early one, but been reprinted by Armada. But it just came in with the job lot, so I'm not going to get rid of it. I shall just pass it down to School Fate or something like that. Here's the very first book reprinted in Armada as well. But there is something quite special about reading the Puffin ones for me, really nostalgic, you know, so just a couple more here. This has actually got some pencil inside. Going to need a new rubber soon. Look at the state of this one. It is almost out. So it's been a very busy couple of months since I last did a pickups video. And I need to sort of rewind the old clock a bit and go back and sort of go over what has been happening since I last did a pickups video. So I think it goes back about a month or so when I went to the Innsmouth Literary Festival with Dorset Bob. Now, on the way up to the Innsmouth Literary Festival, I first stopped in Honiton, the little Devon town of Honiton, to do some book shopping. It was a bit of a disappointment. I only picked up a couple of small bits and pieces, which we will have a look at in a minute. So Honiton, even though I've not been there for over a year, which is usually enough for the stock to change a bit, which it had, in all honesty, but there was just nothing there that really tickled my fancy. I picked up a couple of copies of Book and Magazine Collector, but that was it. So a bit of a disappointment there in Honiton, in the 2 bookshops there. However, I then went and drove to a place called Puddletown, which I've never been to before, and they've got a bookshop, and it was fantastic. It really was a great bookshop. So pop them all there. In Puddletown, I picked up a few bits and pieces. Once again, we'll have a look at those in a minute. This is quite nice. This is the only Virago or Picador I've picked up this month, so it's a reasonably early one. One of the clues is, of course, the cover price, £3.50 on this one. And this one is dated, published by Virago Press, 1981. So a reasonably early one, this. It hasn't even got the numbering on, so I don't know where it falls in the Virago series, but it's quite an early one. I have got a checklist of sorts for early Virago, but I'm not really sure how comprehensive it is, but I have got one. But at the moment, I'm just sort of storing my Viragos. I haven't got that many. Just sort of in sorted by year, a bit like my B format Picador books. So, but yeah, so we went up to I went up to Puddletown, which was really good, and I then went up to Dorset Bob's, and we didn't have time to do any book shopping at Dorset Bob's. We didn't go off anywhere, but I went round and filmed Dorset Bob's warehouse because I hadn't been there for quite a while, and that was good because Dorset Bob has been re-A to Z-ing everything, and it was in a good old state. So that was good, and I picked up, Bob had recently had a Corgi haul, a vintage Corgi book haul, so I was able to pick up quite a pile of vintage Corgi paperbacks, which we'll have a look at in detail in a minute. Then we went to the Innsmouth Literary Festival, which was absolutely fantastic. Real surprise. It was predominantly horror, as you might expect. This one's really nice. I got this one at the Bloomsbury Book Fair, which I'll tell you about in a minute. This is Puffin's Storybook 100. It's in B format. It's a really early B format book. And it's quite scarce, this one. I suspect that's actually better condition even than the one that I've got. So I'm going to do a bit of comparison. So yes, I went to the Innsmouth Literary Festival, which was pretty cool. I enjoyed myself up there, helped Bob out on the stall. We got caught in some awful traffic coming home, back through London. But at the same time, it was really nice to meet some people from the channel, who watch the channel rather. Always good to go book selling with Bob. And Charles Stross was the guest of honour at the show, and he was really nice as well. So if you've not seen the Innsmouth video, do check that out. In fact, all what I've just spoke about have been filmed, and those videos are on the channel now. This is another one I got at the Bloomsbury Book Fair. I'm just seeing, I think this might just be a exhibitions, the South Bank exhibition. So this must be from 1951. Yeah, it's a list of the festival exhibitions. Oh, that's really cool. So I'm going to keep that. That's quite a nice bit of related, paraphernalia, shall we say. I'm a big fan of the Festival of Britain. Both my parents went to it in 1951. It was just a chance for, in the world of books, it was a chance for publishers to really sort of show off their finest wares, as it were. And Penguin had a lot in there in the old exhibition of books at the Festival of Britain. They're mentioned in the Penguin story. Anyway, this one is, once again, it's another addition to my box set collection. Now this is probably one of the most common ones that you can get. So this cost me like £3.50 on eBay, so I thought that was very, very good. The box is quite nice. I'll give it a polish in a minute. And it tied in with this TV adaptation. You look, Anthony Hopkins as Pierre, Alan Doby as Andrea, and Morag Hood as Natasha. Well, the only one I recognise, Anthony Hopkins. Doesn't he look young there? Yeah, so this, I believe, was it late 60s, early 70s? Let's have a little look. This edition, 1972. So I suspect that's when the TV series must have been released. So this is pretty nice. I've never read War and Peace. It's 2 volumes. When it first came out as a Penguin classic, it was in 2 volumes as well, which I have got. What is this here? You just never know what you're going to find in these sorts of things. Look at this. This looks like a tie-in. Look, the Families of War and Peace. So this ties into the adaptation. Looks like that's been cut from a Sunday supplement. Yeah, excellent. That's really nice, isn't it? I think I might keep that in it, you know. Now, there's some writing on the inside there as well. The cover photograph from the BBC television production of War and Peace. There we are. Just replicates the detail there. So I think the books, I mean, they are. One thing with box sets is that the books tend to be well protected because they've been in the slipcase, of course, and these are no exception. These seem pretty nice condition to me. So that is good news. I'll just give them the lightest of light brushes. There we are. Yeah, so I remember my mum telling me when she was pregnant with me, this is my mother, when she was pregnant with me, she said she remembers reading War and Peace, the books, and working her way through the Prisoner TV show. So there you go. Those were her distinct memories of being pregnant with me all those years ago. Quite a nice little box set, that. As I said, really, really easy to get. Oh, you can see it's Anthony Hopkins there now, can't you? Looks a lot more like him. I'm doing sort of some of the larger format stuff first. Now, these are from... I've had these already in my collection. This is the Best of New Worlds, edited by Michael Moorcock, and this is The Twilight Man by Michael Moorcock. And viewers of this channel are probably very familiar with my friend Steve, the Outlaw bookseller. And Steve went over to Paris and interviewed Michael Moorcock recently. It's a fantastic video if you've not checked that one out on Steve's channel. I mean, he speaks to him for just over an hour, and he could have been there for a week, you know, with the career that Moorcock's had. But I really enjoyed it, and I was able to get a couple of books signed. So Steve was able to give these to Mike and he signed them overnight. So there we are. To Jules, all best wishes, Michael M. And then he signed that one as well, similar. Jules from Michael M, Paris, 12th of the 9th, 24. So there we go. So those are the only two Michael Moorcock signed editions that I've got in my collection. And I'm very, very pleased to get those. So thank you once again for Steve for getting me those. And as I said, if you've not checked out Steve's video, definitely worth it. So this is another one I picked up at the Bloomsbury Book Fair. This was all of £1, which I was very, very pleased about. So it's a travel. Let's take the wrapper off. It's a travel book by SF author Brian Aldiss. It's published by his hardback publisher, which is Faber and Faber, and in a wrapper as well. It's in pretty nice condition. It really is. It doesn't go for a massive amount of money. It's not like one of his super hot, you know, science fiction titles or anything, but at the same time it is an Aldiss first, and completists are definitely going to want it. I don't collect Aldiss in first edition, but I've got quite a run in paperback, and he did stuff for Penguin as well. I would like his Faber and Faber paperbacks, introducing SF, and I think there's about 4 volumes of them. But they're very, very difficult to find in nice condition. So they tend to sell, when they turn up, if they're nice, they tend to sell for about £10 each, which is more than I want to be paying for those particular books. I don't mind paying maybe up to £5 each if they're really nice. I've got a little run of vintage Faber paperbacks, and I really like them. They're all B format, and really nicely produced as well. But they didn't do masses of stuff, and some of the titles, the subjects rather, are a little bit not that interesting to me, you know. But they do have some really great authors on their list, like William Golding, for example, and Aldiss. Anyway, that one's absolutely fine. I will give the dust wrapper a polish in a little while when we do some of the other bits. This is the biggest hardback we've got to do this time round, and this is once again from Puddletown. Goodbye West Country by Henry Williamson. I mean, I paid $15 for this one, but I did get some discount on top, so it probably worked out about £12 in total. I'm reading him at the moment, and I got to admit, I'm really, really enjoying his style of writing. It's excellent, actually. It really, really is. Yeah, so they had $15 on it. But as I said, I got it a bit cheaper than that. So I'll take it out of its rather fragile dust wrapper. It's quite an early book, so it's nice to have it in dust wrapper. He is, of course, the author of Tarka the Otter, which is probably his most famous one, and Salar the Salmon. But I'm reading his 15-book opus, and I'm on the first one still at the moment. Dark Lantern, it's called. It starts sort of late Victorian era, and it follows the main character right up to the end of the Second World War. And the actual character himself sort of parallels Henry Williamson's own life, with the fact that he was a World War I veteran. was even involved in the famous or infamous football match, the Christmas Day truce football match between the Germans and the British. Very, very interesting guy, and there's some interviews with him on the BBC iPlayer talking about the Great War, and I highly recommend you check those out because they're fantastic. Right, let's get rid of some of these bookseller notations on here. So I believe this one is autobiographical, I believe, but when I come across Williamson cheap, and it's his early ones, I am going to be picking them up in hardback first, that is. So I didn't see any at the Bloomsbury show this time around, but they are, fairly plentiful. I think he was quite a big seller. I'm not trying to get them all. I'd like to get that 15 book run in first edition because that's a nice set to get. But I think Tarka the Otter, as you would imagine, is a few £100 for that one in a wrapper. There we are. I mean, I'm not going to be looking for perfection in a book which is this age, but it is at the same time the first printing. I think it was in the 1930s this one came out. Goodbye West Country, Putnam, London, 1937. There we are. Yeah, I think this is going to be really good. He's actually buried in North Devon, and I might take a trip to his grave. I've got a friend up there who I'm hoping to visit early next year and film their book collection, and I shall make a little detour and visit Henry Williamson's grave. I think that'll be quite interesting. But I'm not going to do anything to the wrapper. I'm going to leave it there. It's been quite nicely protected, no better than I would do myself. So this is from the Puddletown bookshop. Puddletown Books, really, really great. And this was Charlene co-runs Puddletown Books, and definitely worth a little stop on your travels. So that's that one. We have got some more bigger books to do in a minute, but let's get a couple more corgis out of the way then. So these were from Dorset Bob's Great Haul, and it's not every day you come across 8 boxes or so of vintage corgi paperbacks, but that's what he did, and he got these at auction. And he seems to think that the collection was somebody who was involved with corgi at the time, but we're not really sure. Some of the books are in duplicate and triplicate, in fact. This one's actually fine. It's nothing wrong with this one at all. Really nice early giant. There we are, 1954. A beauty, isn't it? Signed with our giant number 40. Absolutely gorgeous. These books, when you read them, they just do not last very well. They just don't survive without falling to bits. So trying to find them in nice condition is tough. This one was nice as well. This is Strangers When We Meet by Ivan Hunter, who is, of course, Ed McBain. And this is one I didn't know Corgi published. I haven't got the Blackboard Jungle, but I've got the other one that Corgi published, which is probably listed in the front here. I can find a little list. What's that one called again? It's not there. There's a few adverts at the back here. That's not there. Maybe it came out afterwards. I don't know. But this one's a little bit warm. But I don't care. It's the first time I've ever seen a copy in the flesh, so I definitely didn't want to leave it behind. Also, I collect Ed McBain in paperback, and I've got quite a run of his books under other pseudonyms as well, including some of his really early stuff from the 50s. It's like sleazy titles and that. So I've got quite a nice run of him, and this was one I didn't have. So there was no way I was going to be leaving this one behind. Do check out that video of Dorset Bob's. One thing he did say, obviously anything that you saw in the video is for sale. You can just drop him an email. mrbook451@outlook.com is his email address. Bob will, of course, be at the London Paperback Show. So that is going to be coming up on November the 24th. But I didn't want to mention the last show I went to. So as we filmed this, it was last weekend. And I went to the Bloomsbury Book Fair. which encompassed the photography fair. There we are. And that was really, really quite something. I thought the photography part was miles more interesting than I thought it was going to be. And I was able to get a little tour of the fair by one of the dealers, and he was able to explain what's what in the world of collectible paperbacks. Now, this video will be live. It's not live yet. It will be live by the time you you watch this one here. So do go and check that out if you're at all interested in that. Plus, I had a really good look around the book fair, and of course, there was loads of stuff there. So I tried to be selective, but it's very, very difficult when you see loads of good stuff and it's not expensive. So I had a really great time at that particular show, and it's on every single month. So I mean, that's lovely, that copy. So you can't really go wrong, can you? You cannot go wrong. If I lived in London, I would be there monthly. That's for certain. Still got its little flyer in. £3, so I don't know if that's £3. I don't know. Yeah, I've never picked up so many Corgi books in one hit before. It's a real, really lucky, to be honest. The long years. And this one is virtually new. It's a beautiful condition. Yeah, I'd love to get them all like that, but 1956, what a beauty that is. What a beauty. There we are. Lovely cover. I'm trying to pick out the artist there. Puddletown, maybe, something like that. Very, very nice indeed. Right, so these are the couple of book and magazine collectors that I picked up whilst I was in Honiton. The only two things I picked up in Honiton, in actual fact. I got this one because it's got a feature on Nigel Neal of Quatermass fame. It would be also quite handy to have a Roald Dahl bibliography, in all honesty. And this one has got the non-fiction books of Henry Williamson. When you find book and magazine collectors on places like eBay, they generally are being offered for like, well, a few pounds each, and these were just £1 each, which is, I think, a fair price for an old book and magazine collector. I got this one as well. This one was just like a reading copy off eBay. I got quite interested in the history of Kodak, and this is one that you could only get from the Kodak Museum, but it's very, very plentiful online. It only cost like £3, so I thought, I don't mind that. It's like a history of the Kodak brand, and quite fascinating. The era that really interests me at the moment is the 60s and 70s Instamatic range. Rather than anything earlier or even later. So they're the ones I'm quite interested in, and I've been picking a few of those old cameras up because they're dirt cheap. You can't even buy the film for them anymore. But I just love the design and the packaging of them. So that's that one there. Right, we have some more paperbacks to do. They're not all Corgis. I've got some non-Corgi ones to do now. I've even got some penguins, believe it or not, which have come my way. So I picked up a small batch of vintage paperbacks from Drew the Penguin chap. These came in, I guess he must have got these in a penguin collection himself. So this is a Jackdaw, a Gerald's Jackdaw number 14. It's in its wrapper, which is quite nice. So I've been collecting these for quite some time now. I think it's got a few detached pages, or it's misbound slightly, but I don't mind, in all honesty. So that's absolutely fine. Another one here, Crime Book Society, number 23. There's about 90 of these, believe it or not. But this is, once again, quite pleased to get this one. It's not in a wrapper, but once again, I don't mind. It's in the classic green crime, which a lot of the publishers were copying Penguin, of course. An odd one in the Hutchinson non-fiction library, which is number 6, by guess and by God, and not one I've got. And I've got quite a good run of these, so I was really, really pleased to get an odd one that I didn't have. So I got most of them, so that was really good to get. Another one in the Crime Book Society, and I'm pleased to get this as well, because this is Edgar Wallace. And having read the book that came out last year, or was it earlier this year, on Edgar Wallace and the King Kong script by Stephen Jones, which is a fantastic book. It really made me quite interested to read a bit more Edgar Wallace. So I'm glad I've got some. Loads was published by Pan, and he was absolutely massive in his day, but he just wasn't he wasn't very good with his money, so he never seemed to hit the big time, But there you go. A couple of odd Collins white circles. This one's one of their mysteries, so it's in the cerise colours. Their crime is green again, and the westerns are yellow, similar to the other publishers. But this is Lady Incognito, J.M. Walsh. Look, quite nice that. So once again, a fairly early one, but it's classed as a mystery, this one. There we are. Yeah, 203. I think the numbering started at 200. So that's quite nice. 1936. This is interesting. This says it's a film time, Gulliver's Travels. So must have been a very, very early adaptation of Gulliver's Travels. Okay, that's got a little sticker in. Collins novel 512. So I'm going to have to see where the numbering fits in. I have got a checklist for Collins, but this is definitely a more unusual one. Now, there is like a 2p on the top here, but I don't think it's going to come off. Oh, well, it is actually fading. The 2 is fading at least. I'm going quite light because, as you can see, the whole book is very, very dusty and dirty. So if you rub one area in particular, you've got to do the rest of the cover. So I'm just trying to blend it in, which I've done before. But yeah, the 2 came off. But I'll just lighten this circle a little bit. There we are. Yeah, very, very grubby book, but I've never even seen that one before. So pleased to get that. Now this one, I'm delighted to get it, but I'm also like, oh no, because I thought these only went up to about number 21 or 22. And as you can see, this is number 27. And on the inside, they list up to number 32. So I did not know that the Mooth and Sixpennies went up that far. So that means I had quite a nice run up to 22. I almost had them all. And now suddenly I've got to get up to number 32. And I see that number 22 is a Tarzan. Edgar Rice Burroughs at Tarzan at the Earth's Core, which is bound to be a real collectible book. I thought I had the most collectible one, which was a P.G. Wodehouse. But no, I haven't. So that was like, So good news and bad news. 1941. So they evidently went into the war, which I had no idea about. The early ones come in wrappers, very much like Penguin. But, there you go. So it was good news to get one. It's the first one I've got in months and months and months. And then bad news because I've realised I've now got a lot more to try and track down. Here's yet another Corgi. Got a few more to get through. But that was nice to get that little run of books there. Gently Down the Stream, Alan Hunter. Yeah, so I've not really been talking much about the London Paperback Show, in so much as I just hope you can all make it. It's Sunday, November the 24th. If you're in the UK, it's well worth getting down there. I understand public transport is a bit hit or miss, particularly if you're coming from distance to get into London on a Sunday morning. But last time people came from all over the country and got overnight coaches and things like that. The good news is when you get into London, you can come straight to the hotel. They've got the reception there. You can even go in and get a cooked breakfast if you want. It's a Holiday Inn, so you can just come in and just pay and get a breakfast. So it's really great breakfast there, if you so want to. So that might be worth just considering. But the actual fair itself opens at 9:30, so you don't have to wait long to get in. Forbidden Ground. Look at what beautiful covers these are. Absolutely beautiful. This one's got a little £2 in the corner here. Obviously, I've still got, because I've taken a break, I've still got about 700 vintage Penguins to clean up from that big haul from earlier this year. And some more on the way, in fact. I've got just arranged to pick them up and that. But I've been doing my absolute utmost to try not to buy too many books. But when you see books that are nice, like, for example, this one. So this is one of the Penguin ones, which is the Abraham Games Design series. I think this may actually be by Games. Let's have a look. He may have actually done the cover himself to this one. Oh no, Hans Unger. But this is one of those ones that, once again, even though I must have had maybe 4 or 5 copies of this exact edition through my hands, this is still probably the best condition one that I've got, and it was £1. You know, I mean, that's really, really good. And in fact, it was £1 before discount, and I got this one in Puddletown, so I was really, really pleased to get that one. This one wasn't priced at £1. I think it was priced at £6, but I still got it very, very cheaply, because, as I said, Charlene gave me a bit of discount, because I bought a pile of books from Puddletown, but she had 6 in it, which I don't think is too bad a price. It's an American Penguin, and it's a Fighting Forces Infantry Journal one. So it's a Fighting Forces Penguin Special 226. So it's a smaller format, and it's published by the Infantry Journal and Penguin Books, and it was designed for the forces in America. And there's quite a few of these. You know, I mean, I've got, I don't know, maybe about 10 now. But I was pleased to get this one. It's the first, I believe, although I have got a couple in reprint. Yeah, first from 1944, July 44. I was really pleased with that. Really, really pleased. It's just got a faded spine, but you know, I can live with it. It's just not a book that turns up very often, particularly in the UK. So I was pleased to get that one. This was nice. It was a Zephyr. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure it's a double. I've already got it, which is a shame, because you don't see these Zephyr books, and these are beautiful. Look at the quality. These are really, really nicely made vintage paperbacks. Awesome. You usually see them like that, but they all came in these lovely wrappers. Once again, that was just £1, but as I said, a double, sadly. I picked this one up. Once again, I've got it, but it was a Penguin Modern Classic, and I didn't want to leave it behind at £1. Someone will probably want to pay a little bit more than that for it. It's a nice little Penguin Modern Classic. It's an early one, 1965. The Modern Classics had started just a few years before that, so that was quite nice. Then I got this Guild book here, which is On the Art of Reading. It's Arthur Quiller Couch. This is a Guild book that I definitely haven't got. It's a later one, once again in dust wrapper. So very pleased to get this one, because it's definitely one I've not got. Pretty mundane title, but for £1 I wasn't going to turn it down. And then that Penguin Parade #3. Now I do need a few odd ones in upgrade form, and this is one that I got from my friend Matt. He sent it down to me, which was good of him. It's just one that I've got currently, which is in low grade, and this one, although not mint, it's still better than the copy that I've currently got, so that's good news as well. So there were all a nice little pile of goodies. Now we have got some real big books to come up in a minute. You may have seen my haul from the Bloomsbury Book Fair, where I picked up some Penrose annuals, so we've still got those to clean. And I've also got quite a large format Penguin Miscellaneous book to do. This one was once again from the auction house. I'm hoping that this auctioneer sticker comes off quite easily. Take it steady. I've got all these Mickey Spillanes in Corgi, but some of them are very much the worse for wear. They're not the best Corgi jackets, but they're uniform. They make a big deal about Mickey Spillane's name, a bit like modern books do, but with just a small picture, which is a shame. But this was from the auction which Bob got them from, and this was the auctioneer's stamp. And they just put a blooming price sticker on, which is not ideal. You'd think that an auctioneer would know a bit better, and they would, label the boxes that the books were in rather than the actual books themselves. But it may be this one and one other which has actually got an annoying sticker on. There we are. Well, it's come off all right. And not even left a sticky residue, but we will give these books a polish, of course. I'll sort them into to be polished and not to be polished. And we do also need to give them a brush, don't we? The top edges are all going to need a good brush. There we are. I'm sure my existing copy is nowhere near that nice. 1960 for that Corgi edition. The Wife of the Red-Haired Man. Yeah, that's okay. A bit of science fiction now. Asimov, this is the Foundation's Friend book. I'm pleased to get this. I don't think I've ever seen one since it was published, literally since it came out. So yeah, this was off Dorset Bob again. Yeah, he didn't have a lot in it. Well, he had $2.50. I think he charged me about $3, so that's fair enough. I know some people find Asimov a little bit old-fashioned these days, and obviously for the time the books were written, yes, some of them are old-fashioned, but not all of it, and I still like him. This is one of the larger A format Corgis, and this is in nice condition as well. I was pleased to get this. Back then they didn't publish that much in A formats. This is an anomaly, shall we say. Big thick book. Looks like an interesting bookmark of sorts there. What's that? Looks like a bus ticket or something. Birmingham City, something like that. Yeah. Honestly, I should have started collecting bus tickets when I started collecting books. There we are. So that's absolutely fine. Nothing else to do on that one. I have been trying to buy better condition books which don't need loads of work unless it's something really scarce, you know. This is another A format, but this is like laminated. It wasn't laminated at the time. It was just how it's published, you know. No one's gone and laminated it. It was published as a laminated edition. There we are, Brother Surgeons. He's just coming away at the top of the spine there. Now, we haven't used any glue today, and I haven't used any of this glue for a while. So I'm not sure how easily it's going to come out. But I think just a smidgen of glue in there would actually make all the difference. Here we are. I had to give that a bit of a bang to get it rolling again. I said it's been a little while since I've done any book repair, you see, so that should be absolutely fine. Just to get the top of the spine as nice as possible, because it's just starting to come away. There we are, that's lovely. Come Pretty Puss, another one which is laminated as well. But laminated at the time, not by the publishers, that is. This is another one off Dorset Bob. This is a Jose Farmer. Tarzan Alive. Quite scarce, this. I'm collecting Jose Farmer in American first printing. And this is one I didn't have at all. Yeah, Popular Library, 1972. Pleased to get that. And once again, pretty nice shape. Old Bob, he has a reputation for high-grade books, you know. I'm pleased to get this. I used to have this one, but not in anywhere like this great shape. So pleased to get this. Absolutely love the movie of Fantastic Voyage. And this is the movie tie-in, as well as it being the paperback first. So excellent stuff. Another Jose Farmer, Dark Design. This one I've picked up because I haven't got a copy, but it's not pristine, I got to say. It's got a spine crease, but it is the first. And I just didn't have one at the moment, and it was like a glaring hole in my collection. So I've picked it up almost to have on borrowed time, but it's not mint. It's not as mint as I would like, because I do want to get those in tip-top shape, but it's still all right. And this one I wasn't so familiar with, Riverworld and Other Stories. This is like a bit more of an anthology set in the Riverworld universe. Not one I'm that familiar with. It's Berkeley, yeah. Quite unusual. So I don't think they're all by Farmer. Yeah, November 79. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, it includes the original Riverworld novel. And then there's other stories in the Riverworld universe. But yeah, quite interesting, that one. I think that's probably quite scarce. And then an odd a Dell map pack. Well, I absolutely love map packs. There we are. There's the map on the back. So this is Dell book number 146. They've got that little keyhole for their logo. I mean, it's Rex Stout. It's not a mega collectible Dell map pack. There's some really great, like Dashiell Hammett's, for example, which is super collectible, with some Agatha Christie's and things like that. There's even a few PG Woodhouse. But I love them all. And of the map backs, there's a few hundred, about 400 maybe, 450 to get. And I think they're fantastic. If they're nice knit, they've still got the original laminate on it. This one has, just about. It hasn't started peeling too badly. So, yeah, quite pleased with that. I do love a Dell map pack, and it's been quite the time since I've actually picked one up. So, look, R.I. Dundee and Company Factory, Scene of Murders in Alphabet Hicks. Good stuff, eh? Good stuff. Right, well, I was quite lucky in that I was able to pick up yet another Pan record. I think that's about my third new one this year, so I've been really, really lucky. This one is quite late. It's number 37, January 1963. So I'm not sure if they've actually been... This may be the very last one. I'm not sure if they've been recorded this late before. But they are very, very scarce, these. I mean, they really are. They don't turn up anything like as commonly as the Penguin ones do. So, yeah, really, really pleased to get these. And, yeah, it's the first one in a little while. Hitchcock cover as well. Extremely, extremely cool. So, yeah, not a lot to them, but they're very, very scarce. So that was a nice little find. Then we got the last of these Corgis here. So let's go through those. And then I've got a particularly large and quite scarce Penguin hardback. And then we've got those Penrose annuals, which are a real treat, in my opinion, to look through. Here's another Mickey Spillane. You see, they just they make a big deal about his name because he was a big seller, but at the same time, it doesn't leave a lot of room for a nice jacket, in keeping with the other sort of Corgi books of this period, which is a bit of a shame, really. But what can we do, eh? This one I've already got, but it's an upgrade to my existing copy, which is quite rough. There we are. Clipper of the Clouds. Yeah, this is a Jules Verne, and it's a Scotty, which is like Corgi's junior imprint. I've got a few Scotties, not many, just a few. And because it was Jules Verne, I couldn't sort of resist it, but he is a bit beaten up. But it was, how could I describe it? It was an impulse buy, shall we say, because I do like Jules Verne. But yeah, perhaps I should have showed some restraint, because it wasn't tip-top condition, but, you know. It's okay. Still quite pleased with that one. This is nice as well. Simon and Brittany. Now we're going to need a little bit of glue in there by the look of it. So we'll just do the internals. I think that's pen and pencil, is it? Yeah. So we can take the pencil out, but we'll have to leave the pen in. And then we need to do a little bit of tactical gluing. A little bit at the bottom there. So let's just get it ready for its operation. Pop it there. Yeah, I think a little bit more. There we are. I don't want to lose that little bit. So just got him. Right, so pop that one up there. I've got a couple more here. This is another really nice one, the Shining Mountains. Another very, very nice condition Corgi Giant here. And you can see why these don't really turn up in great shape because of the way that they were published. Big, thick books. Not the best binding in the world, you know. They wouldn't stand that many readings, I wouldn't have thought, in all honesty. I reckon they would fall to bits after a few goes. There we are. Lovely. No trees in the street. Movie time by the look of it. Don't recognise the book of the film. Not one I've seen. A British 50s one. There's loads I've not seen from that era. But I like them when I see them. Particularly if they've been like restored. Gino. This one's stained at the bottom there. So probably was remaindered this at some point. Looks like this copy's unread. Yeah, bottom edge stained, I reckon that says, but quite a nice copy all the same. But yeah, the fact that it's been stained along the bottom means it's probably been remaindered and sold off cheap, or maybe it was earmarked for return back to the publisher. A lot of these books were sale or return. The Lost Weekend. It's absolutely fine. Jock. Another really, really nice copy, unread. The Bruiser. Good subject, boxing. If you ever see books on boxing, it's worth picking them up. Boxing and prize fighting. Doesn't he look like Gordon Ramsay? My granddad was a boxer in the 1920s. The Flesh and the Fiends. Another movie tie-in. Peter Cushing one as well. Very, very cool. It's actually a Peter Cushing film I've not seen. I definitely would have remembered that one. I've seen most of his output. What's this then? The Shocking Crimes of Burke and Hare. I think it ties in with this about the body snatching per se. So that's why that little newspaper clipping is in there. And the last Corgi for today, in fact the last paperback before we do the few hardbacks we've got, is this one, No Rice for Rebels. But I think what we'll do, I'm going to sort these out now into the ones which we can give, well, they're all going to need a bit of a brush, so I think that's like the next step really. So we'll give them a brush, and some of them are going to need a polish as well. All right, we'll work our way through these. They are all as is. We've already done these two hardbacks. That one I can't do any more to that one. So pop them over there. This one I've brushed, but I'm going to give it a polish too. And this one I shall brush now as well. So those two are going to need polishing in a minute. Let's do some of these now. Now some of these Corgis are quite dusty because of the way they've been stored. Others are absolutely fine, they're quite nice, so we'll just do them as we go along. Now some of this can be polished, like that can be polished. Yeah, that'll be okay, that's okay, yeah. There will be a few though that we're not going to be able to touch. But the ones which we're going to polish will pop over there. Get the dust coming off. Loads of dust. I don't like doing lots of dusty books in the studio nowadays, but the weather is really awful and we can't go outside because it's wet. So we're a bit stuck today. There's no other option but to do them here in the studio. Just how it goes. They won't all be really bad, but some of them clearly are, as you can see. There we are. Now my two Michael Moorcocks obviously don't need cleaning because they've already been cleaned. What they do need though is to be bagged up, because I've bagged up all my compact SF. So I'm going to put those in brand new paperback bags in due course. I don't think I'll be bagging anything else today, just those two. Haven't actually done a bagging video in ages. I'm quite overdue. This is the muckiest part, but all these Corgis can have a little polish. It's just, I think, the real vintage stuff that we got here, we won't be able to touch that. And it looks very, very dusty on the tops of some of these. That's made a huge difference. And that's, of course, why we do it. Get the books looking as good as possible. See that? The white there. That's really just dust that's accumulated. Yeah, but that's much cleaner now. That white blotching is gone now. And time we give them a polish as well, they'll start to look really, really nice. Same with these. That's just dust that's settled on the top there. So not exactly very nice to look at. And you wouldn't want to read a book that dirty, would you? So it's nice to give them a clean. Look at that, much clearer now. Now we need to tread a little bit more carefully with these ones because they're different shapes and sizes. I'll try and match them up a bit. They are sort of all over the place really, so let's do these three. Lovely. Now, yeah, I think they can all have a bit of a polish. That'll be okay. Let's do this odd one. These have to be done individually because they're all like different sizes and stuff, you know. Lovely. Now, War and Peace we'd already done. Got these B formats now, the Paddingtons and what have you. They weren't actually too bad. Lovely. Right. Okay, so I'm now going to give some of these a quick polish. Right. Mr. Sheen on standby. Got a fresh cloth, a fresh bit of cloth, I should say. It does seem like it's been ages since I've done like a cleaning video. I guess because I did so much. Oh, this has come up nice. I did so much. I was doing like 200 penguins a day at one point. So consequently had my nice break from doing any sort of cleaning and restoration and repairing videos. And yeah, it's almost like I haven't done it for ages, weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, which in actual fact it is, as I'm, maybe not as you're watching them, but as I'm actually doing them. So that has come up really, really nice. I'm pleased with that. And I've got this Kodak one here, which, as I said, it was only bought off one of the cheap book people on eBay. So I think it was like $3.49 including postage. And you got to think the postage would have been at least £2 or something. But I suppose it stops it going to the incinerator, because that is literally what's happening with some books. There's so many they just can't get rid of them. They're either being pulped or they're being burnt, which is truly terrible. There we are, so they're okay. Now we got some of these B format Paddingtons and that, and these won't need a massive clean, not unless they're really in a state, you know. So yeah, the book I've got to show you is one called Nothing Personal. And it's a photography book, very, very scarce, published by Penguin in the 1960s. And we're going to have a look through that. It comes in a slipcase. It's a pretty rare book. So that's the one we've got to look at and also clean as we go, basically, because it does need a bit of TLC. And then we can have a look over the Penrose Annuals. So I'm going to do a special video on the Penrose Annuals when I've got a few more in my collection. Like we've got 2 from each decade or something like that is what I'm thinking, which I have not got at the moment. But I'm getting there, slowly but surely. But I picked up 6 Penrose Annuals at the Bloomsbury Fair, all in one hit, which was amazing. And they're 50s and early 60s. But they do need a little bit of a clean. Not massive, but they do need a clean. So I do intend to do those. This was that last one I needed, Paddington at Work. It's not in the best of shape, unfortunately, but I can't complain. I'll give it a little bit more TLC since it's the one I particularly wanted. But it was only, it worked out at £1 if you include all the other ones as well that were in the lot. Yeah, a little bit of staining on the front. But overall, it'll do. It'll be okay. Good stuff. My odd one-off Virago. It's a very, very nice imprint, this, and I'm glad they're on my radar now, because they sort of have been on and off for years, and I wish I'd picked up, because I've seen runs of them before and turned them down, even when they were cheap, and I do wish I'd picked them up earlier, but not to worry, I've amended that now, and they're on my radar. Quite the low grade one, that, but it doesn't matter. As I said, these are just filler copies, some of these. Now this one here is got a matte cover, so you can't polish that one. However, this shiny box set we most definitely can. But it's not too bad. They do tend to vary. It's usually the top bit here which gets dirty, a bit like a book gets dusty. This one was no exception. Generally, that's pretty nice condition. There's some real cracking Penguin box sets for that they produced over the years. Some really, really nice ones, but they're also quite pricey, some of them. Once again, that's a matte one, so we can't do anything with that. Same with that one, can't do anything with that. This one can have a little bit of a once over. May not make much difference, but sometimes it's almost invisible. Sometimes you get these ones and they've got like, regiment stamps and things like that. The only stamp I can see on this looks like a very faint 6500, which was probably a currency, like a local currency or something, you know. Looks like there's a bit of a sticker residue mark there, so we'll let that soak in a bit. Give our Tarzan a little wipe. There we are, that's fine. Let's see if we can get that. Like it's going to come off, it's quite stubborn. Let me look under this closely. Yeah, I don't think that's going to go anywhere, so I don't want to force the issue. Yeah, this one's alright. I'm just going to give it the once over. It's picked up quite a bit of dust, this one. But you don't see many guild books in dust wrappers, so that was quite nice. It's a modern classic. Very much love the Penguin Modern Classics. Lovely books. And then we got this last Abraham Games, which I suspect is going to be better than the one that I've already got in my collection. Which is saying something, because I've had multiples of this particular one. There we are. So that's the first stack carefully polished there, literally all done and ready. As I said, we can't do anything with the two Michael Moorcocks. So let's start on some of these Corgis now. Now these will need a bit of a polish in most cases, but they're smaller, so they won't need quite as much polish. And the ones that are laminated, like this one, are very, very easy to clean. But I think on the whole, the Corgi books we've got aren't too bad. They were more dusty than dirty, if that makes sense. I think on reflection, because the Penrose annuals are going to be it's going to be quite a long old job to get those done. I think I'm going to do them as a separate video. It's just, I don't want these videos to go on and for hours and hours. and it's already going to be probably about an hour and a half time we've done all these, so that's probably enough before we start on the Penrose books. So we'll do the Nothing Personal, and I think I'll do the Penrose Annuals as a separate sort of entity. If you want a quick look at them, they are on the end of the Bloomsbury Book Fair video, so you can actually have a look and see what they're like, and you'll see why they're going to be a bit more of an involved proposition. You know, they are very, very big books with lots and lots of pages and cutouts and fold outs and all sorts, and I'd rather not rush it. I'd rather sort of clean them up and savor the books at the same time. And I think you'll enjoy looking at them because they are amazing, absolutely amazing. Rather like that book there. So I think we'll do that on another video, because there's 6 of them to get through, so it would take quite a lot of time, probably another hour, and I don't think it warrants tagging on to the end of this video. But we will do Nothing Personal, which is a very, very interesting book if you've never seen that one. It sells for about £100, so it's not a cheap book either. So it's one you might want to keep your eyes peeled for. But I think this is the copy I've got. Is the first one I've seen for sale in about 3 years, so it is pretty rare. But you never know, there could be one sat on your local bookshop, second-hand bookshop, for a tenner or something, and you just didn't know. So we'll get to that in just a sec. Right, now these old books here can't be polished, of course, because they've got matte covers, so none of those can be done. So we can put them to one side, which only leaves about a dozen or so books to do, which is good. And then we'll have a crack at Nothing Personal. What a mess we make, eh? But believe me, these books have been stacking up. I've sort of been a little bit overdue, but I've had so many shows and things on. Plus I've had a little bit of computer issue as well. My main PC, we had an electric surge at home, which knocked out the CPU of my main desktop computer, which was blimmin' annoying because we didn't know that it was the CPU, and we had to try different elements, different components, a bit trial and error like, until we found what was causing the issue. But in the end it was the CPU, which is thankfully reasonably easy to replace. I didn't lose any of my stuff. I've got virtually everything backed up in the cloud anyway, so it doesn't matter. I was able to keep working and editing on a laptop, but it didn't have the old horsepower required really to do editing very smoothly, which is when you do videos on YouTube, you use a lot of computing power when you do video editing, as is to be expected. All my videos are in 4K nowadays, and the laptop just couldn't. It could export it in 4K, but I couldn't edit it in 4K. It was just too much of an ask, But now, thankfully, the main computer is back in action, so all is good. It just means my workflow is a little bit more optimized, shall we say. I was on a radio show a couple of weeks back, completely forgot to mention that. I think it was Hertfordshire FM or something, I think it was, talking about books. That was really good. It was on, it's sort of a late night one, so it was on. I was on between 9 and 10 o'clock at night, but it was really good. The DJ was excellent, and we had a good old chat, which was cool. I don't, however, think it's available like on demand, so sadly I can't share it with you. But I know a few people listened to it and then found the channel, the YouTube channel, and left a comment, which was nice. So if you're watching this, hello. Last few of these now. None of them were really, really bad. This one was a little bit lower grade. Because I try not to pick up, really low grade copies unless it's something supremely rare that I may never come across again for a long time, so then it's fair game. I'll pick up a lower grade one just as a placeholder. And I've always been like that with comics and books and everything I've collected, really, even toys. You take one as like a bookmark until a better one should come along. Last few of these. The Bruiser. Right, there we are. So what I'm going to need to do now is make a bit of room because the book that we're about to clean is massive. So let me clear the decks a bit. All right, here we are then. So as you can see, it is absolutely enormous. If you compare it to a normal paperback book, you can see it's it's about 4 times the real estate. But this is it, nothing personal. It was published by Penguin Books. It's part of their Q series, printed in Switzerland. And yeah, it's in this slipcase. So I think what we'll do, I think we'll clean the slipcase first, because that really, you see, I don't know if you can see, but see, it's just got some mottling and stuff like that on, and we're going to give it the once over. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it is a bit stained, this one. I said it's about £100 in tip-top shape, and maybe even more. You just don't see them around. You don't see them advertised. I've had a saved search for years for it, and not one has ever shown up online. A few bits of muck are coming off this one. Yeah, one's never ever shown up online. So if you ever come across this one, even if it's not in its slipcase, I wouldn't worry, But I think that's about as good as we're going to get, the slipcase part of it. Now inside there are some faults with this one, but we'll clean it up as best we can. So there is Once again, there's a few little marks and stuff on here, so this has obviously never ever been cleaned since the book was published. But on the plus side, it has got nice glossy laminated boards, which should make it, in theory, a bit easier to clean. But I am surprised that the dirt that's on here isn't coming up better than it is. I would have expected it to have come up a bit cleaner than this, in all honesty. Yeah, I'm quite surprised at that. Now, the actual content of the book, some of it is a little bit controversial, and it may contain nudity, in which case I shall be editing it. Here we are, Richard Avedon. Just looking for the printing history here, and it's we did skimp over that. It says Penguin Books, 1964. As I said, it was published as a Q, which was part of their miscellaneous series. I know at least one of the pages has got some tape on. Well, so far, so good. We've not seen anything too controversial, have we? But we might as well have a look through since we're here. Oh, great images, aren't they? And there are some famous people in here. That's the Everly brothers, I believe. Oh yeah, and Fabian. The photographer was very famous in his day. But yeah, I believe one of the fold-outs has got some tape on, which we'll see if we can spot in a minute. But how often do you get the chance to have a look through this? Not often, I'll tell you that. Eisenhower, Malcolm X. Arthur Miller. Marilyn Monroe. And this is a typical photography book in that it's highly collectible and probably didn't have a massive print run, was expensive to produce at the time, and consequently it's made quite the collectible book nowadays. Well, designed by Martin Israel, printed in Switzerland. I thought there was a bit of tape in here somewhere, but I can't see it. Okay, well there we are. That was nothing personal. So nothing personal. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that little look through my September 2024 pickups into early October. As I said, I'm going to do the Penrose annuals completely separate because there's quite a big job on those and they warrant their own video. They are literally that good. If you've enjoyed today's cleaning video, do please give it that thumbs up. If you've not hit the subscribe button already, well, why not? It costs nothing and it really does help support the channel. So do please hit the subscribe button and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.